We are on day, I think, 13 in a row now. We got Python back with us. We're doing a quick video. We're doing probably like a 10-minute video. We're trying to keep it short for you guys, short and sweet. Well, not always sweet. Well, short's average, so whatever. Anyways, K'Andre Miller is the topic of today's episode. And we're not talking about K'Andre Miller, the player. The only thing we're talking about K'Andre Miller is what we should expect on his contract. So K'Andre Miller's coming off a very good season. 43 points in 79 games. Hiccuped a bit in the playoffs. 47 penalty minutes, not great. And there were some times where K'Andre Miller looked a little bit lost. So defensively, you could tell he's still growing. But offensively, we're seeing what K'Andre Miller could really be. And what he really looks like is a friggin' stud, if I'm being completely honest with you. Because 43 points is no easy feat. And he did that in his third year. Now, we're not going to do an armchair GM. We're just going to compare K'Andre Miller to contracts that we could, as we always talk about, what we want, what we expect, and what's probably actually going to happen. So Python and I were actually just talking off stream about the Shea, Lindgren, and McDonough contracts. If you guys watched my previous video on how the Rangers could survive the offseason without sacrificing any cap space, the Rangers could sign K'Andre Miller to exactly what Ryan Lindgren got in his deal. 3 years, $9 million, $3 million a year. Okay. That's a bridge, low risk, medium reward. Python, give your thoughts on the Lindgren contract real quick and how it will relate to K'Andre Miller. And what would you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely relatable. The Rangers have more leverage in the situation regardless because he's not arbitration eligible, right?
He is not.
K'Andre Miller this offseason.
He is not.
Yeah, so the Rangers definitely have some more leverage. And I think it's a very fair comparison given the fact that they're kind of in similar roles, although Ryan Lindgren was put more in a higher role than K'Andre Miller. I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they end up trying to give, but I also wouldn't be shocked if it's more. So, but I think the Ryan Lindgren contract would be perfect for K'Andre Miller.
I agree. And I'm putting the Ryan Lindgren contract as what I think will happen. Now, if you want to go bargain bin, potentially bargain bin, the Brady Shea contract. So Brady Shea signed this contract on July 28th, the day before my birthday in 2018. No big deal. Coming off a 25-point season, he signed for 6.6% of the cap. Going into this year, that would pay K'Andre Miller $5.511 million for 6 or 7 years. Is that a risk that you think the Rangers would be willing to take? And is that a risk that you'd be willing to take? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd be willing to take the risk. I mean, it's really a tough question if they should, what to even do with Miller in the first place. Like, because do you gamble and give him the long term or do you bridge him? I'm still trying to figure out in my head which way they should go with that.
You know, I do wonder if he did have arbitration rights, if this is the dollar amount that they're actually maybe starting at, if he's arbitration eligible. Like, is this a contract that the only reason he's not going to get it is because he doesn't have arbitration rights? Like, 'cause I think there is a case that Miller can make as a 40-point defenseman, as someone who's continuing to get better, to make this much money.
Yeah, I agree. It scares me the fact though that a guy like Damon Severson got as much as he did.
Yes.
That definitely didn't help. But I think that what contract Miller ends up getting is the Noah Dobson contract,
I agree.
which was 3 years at $4 million per year.
I think those are about as comparable as you're going to get, those two players. And the last comparable from the Rangers' perspective was Ryan McDonough off of his, I believe it was directly off his ELC. It was. It started the 2014 season. He made 7.31% of the cap. But it was also 7 years. No, this is only a 6-year deal as well. And it was 731. That puts K'Andre Miller at $6.1 million a year. I think that percentage is more realistic, especially if K'Andre Miller's agent is smart and is saying, hey, the cap's rising to this much. This is going to be significantly more of a bargain then than it is now. So if he really wants to fight for every dollar, there is a case to be made that he could be making probably upwards of 8% if the Rangers want to go long term and try to turn this into a bargain contract.
I think, yeah, because you'd have to move Barkley Goodrow
Yes.
probably if
That happens.
you wanted to go long term. Yeah, if you wanted to go long term, you probably have to move Barkley Goodrow. And I really think though, either way, Keandre Miller it might be the best interest for him to go short term because, like you mentioned, the cap rising, and then after that deal, he could get really significantly paid. And I think that's where you're going to notice a lot of players doing. Like you're seeing Austin Matthews even talking about next summer taking a 3-year deal.
Yep.
Instead of taking an 8-year deal. Why? Because of the fact that he's still young and because of the fact that the cap is expected to go up.
Right.
And if it does go up, holy crap, is he going to get paid a stupid amount on that next contract. There was rumors that Panarin was potentially going to do that before he signed with the Rangers, but he didn't end up going that route because, and good thing for his sake they did because the cap didn't go up.
It's definitely interesting, and I wonder how much more of it you're going to see. Actually, as a matter of fact, I wonder if in the Damon Severson contract negotiations, that big salary jump was part of the reason he got as much as he did, to where that $6.5 million or $6.25 million today in 2 years, which is 7.5% of the cap. If the cap jumps as high as they suggest, I mean that could be as low as 6%, hell, maybe even 5%, and then he's in a realm where that's kind of respectable for a number 3, number 4 defenseman, which is 5 to 6% of the cap.
Yeah, that's what scares me when it comes to Miller is that they're gonna have to give him a absurd amount on that next contract. But it's like, how do you fit him in long term right now on a deal?
It's tough.
With the way that the cap is. It's
tough, dude. Flat cap is killing us.
Yeah, and you know, giving Jacob Trouba $8 million, but
that didn't help either.
Nope.
It's crazy that Mika Zibanejad is the only Ranger that's ever taken a discount. I mean, $8.5 million.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that was going to probably make upwards of 10, and he took $8.5 million.
No, Shattenkirk did. Don't.
Oh,
don't
right. Of course, yeah. Can't get the Shaddy contract.
Yeah.
Pain in my ass.
Yeah.
I still have that Shaddy shirt.
I think though. I mean, yeah. It's just way too tough of a decision. And I'm glad I don't have to call the shot there.
Seriously.
Of whether you lock him up long term or not. But hopefully they could get him cheap if they're gonna bridge him.
I agree.
Like if you're gonna bridge him, I'd be really happy if they could get 3.5 or under.
You got to fight for every penny right now if you're the New York Rangers, because if you pay him over $3 million and you follow exactly what I set out on friggin' cap friendly, right? Like this is where we're at right now in life. Even if you follow that to a T, and that extra $500,000 puts you in the negative. So if you want to exist in an offseason where you don't have to dump any money or lose a player for nothing, you have to fight for every dollar, every cent if you're the New York Rangers. And that's just the truth of it.
Yeah, this is going to be a brutal offseason.
Not going to be fun. But that's really all we had to talk about today, guys. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Like I said, I started a new job, so the uploads are going to be getting later and later in the day. Probably expect like 8, 9 o'clock uploads every single day. But we're staying daily. So that's all that matters. So until tomorrow, thank you everybody for watching. If you know what you're watching, I started making it. And if you understood everything I just said, you do not need hearing aids. I might need hearing aids after that one because I hardly understood what I just said. Either way, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace out.